Today's project is fixing ButterBeer's favorite scratchy pole. I know a lot of you would think it would just be easier to go out and buy a new one. I thought of that too, but when we did buy the wonderful Costco scratching cat tower, all he does is sleep on it, which he does enjoy it, but he doesn't scratch it, ever. And every morning and night, and when we come home from our outings, he has to use this scratchy post. Not the other ones, this one. He's had this one since the first day I adopted him, and since then, there's been nothing else. It has been replaced a few times on the top bit because the sisal gets wrecked, but on this bottom bit, it is the same carpet and post that he's had since he was a tiny kitten. And as you can see from the scratching, he still thinks he is a tiny kitten. What you're going to need today is scissors, stapler, staples, the new scratchy post that you're going to use to cover, the old pole, and one Maine Coon. It is very important to remember that before you do any work, you must consult the Maine Coon about how to gut a carrot. This is an important stage, and you will not be able to complete your project without the carrot. First things first is we're going to have to take out this old chunk that's wrecked right here. Extract your scissors from underneath the Maine Coon and find at the top where you are going to start, and you're going to want to snip it away so that you'll be able to peel off the old stuff. Make sure that your scissors are nice and sharp. Mine definitely weren't sharp enough, and it took a little bit to get this started. A lot of the scratchy poles have some glue at the top to hold it from falling off, so it takes a little bit to pry it off from the glue, that first little chunk. After that, it went nice and smooth. Took a little while because it kept getting tangled and I had lots of cute help, but it was definitely worth it. So I just kind of sped things along here. When you have pulled off a large chunk of it, you're going to want to cut it off because it's too hard to keep untwisting it on the pole. So after a few times around, make sure you snip it off. It makes it much easier and it goes a little bit faster, especially if you have assistants, then they can play with the chunks that you've pulled off. When you get to the end, you're going to snip it off with your scissors, and you're going to take your stapler or your glue gun and you're going to just give it a little bit of a tack there at the end so it doesn't fall off. I had to go and get some sharper scissors. The ones I had weren't quite sharp enough. So on his post here on the bottom, some of the carpet's starting to come off. So we're just going to trim that up a little bit so that there's nothing for him to eat or get into. There we go. Now we're just going to try and take off some of this excess stuff that stayed behind from the glue. We need to take off the sisal off of the new one, which it'll be, I think, much easier. Bought him one of these before in the shape of a fish and hung it to the wall, but he seems to be quite scared of anything new in the house and he will not touch it. We've had that fish now for probably 4 years and will not go near it. It is scary, so we know that this needs to be cut off and put on the old one. You're going to find where it ends. This one looks like it's got a lot of glue on that last spot, so I'm going to cut it just on the one above. Yes. And then you're gonna just pull it off. You may want to use gloves when you do this part, as the sisal kind of burnt my hands a little bit, or you can just go slow, but I was trying to do it as quickly as possible. It didn't take too long once my assistant got bored of it and went into the other room. At the very end, there was just a little bit of glue, so make sure you pull all of that off before you put it back on. And just like that, you now have your new sisal. Now that we have removed it off of its new piece, you're going to make sure that all the glue is off. There was only a little bit on the top bit where they had fastened it to the old board. And we're going to take the old scratchy post. I would remove this if I could, but I can't. You're going to find where it ended. You're going to put your sisal from the new stuff, and you're going to butt it up against where the old one ended. And you're going to staple it. If you don't have stapler, that's okay. You can hot glue it. Butterbeer is a little bit rough on this, so I just want to make sure that it's nice and attached. So I'm putting in a bunch of staples right at the top. Then you're going to take the rope and you're going to keep it nice and taut right against the top of where the other one ended. And you're just going to keep doing that all the way around. You're going to twist it, work it up with your fingers. You don't want to have any space in between. And you're just going to keep going all the way around.
It took a little bit of time to get it to wrap all the way around the cat post, but it was definitely worth it in the end. Just make sure you keep it nice and taut. As soon as you let go, it'll unravel very quickly and you will have to start back over from the beginning. So whatever you do, do not let go of the part that's pushed up against the post, because you do not want to do this twice, trust me.
This is where the old one ended, and this is where I've got the new one stopping. So take your scissors, hold the end that you just tied because you don't want to have to do that again. Cut that off, push it in there. Take your stapler or hot glue. You're going to wedge it in a bit and staple it. And I do two because Beer's a little bit rough when it comes to his toys. I'm going to take this excess little nub and I cut it off. Even these scissors aren't the greatest. All right. There, and then I'm just going to take the point of the scissors and just bring it down a little bit. There we go. And one more right on the end there, just so he doesn't destroy this one as well. Make sure you run your fingers along there so that it's nice and smooth and they won't catch themselves on it. I did the same thing at the top. See, just a few staples, then I push them in, make sure they're good. And there you have it, a repurposed cat scratchy post. We'll see if ButterBeer likes it. I guess it's being ButterBeer approved. Do you like it? Is it as good as the old one?